Oh darn, it looks like we're back to winter again. At least there's not a whole lot of snow this time around. I actually don't mind winter if it snows a little and disappears within a day. In Sodor, though, this season also created fog to roll down on the tracks, and there was only one person who knew how to deal with it.
Cyril the Fogman has a very important job. He puts detonators on the tracks to warn the engines when there's fog ahead. Ooh, shivered Thomas as he ran over the detonator. That made my axles tingle.
For a heavy metal thing like you, I guess I could see why that would tingle as opposed to blow off someone's arms. Though this wasn't the first time we saw this. It also happened in Snow of Season 5. However, Top Hat one night thought he had the solution to replacing detonators.
It's a new invention, a railway foghorn, said Sir Topham Hatt. It warns you when there's fog ahead, like this.
Yeah, more like waking everybody up on the island. And if those shingles falling off the roof doesn't foreshadow anything, then it just shows that alarm does more damage than prevention of the damage. Not sure why Top Hat thought it was great, though. I'm surprised he didn't go deaf after that. Too bad, though. He still thought it would be better than old Cyril.
The next day, Percy was cheerfully chuffing through Misty Valley when suddenly... Oh, jeepers, exclaimed Percy. That foghorn is so loud it rattles my dome. And it doesn't even make my axles tingle. Still, we'd better slow down, said his driver.
At least they're taking the proper precaution. But how does that foghorn even work? There's no trigger except the switch Top Hat used. Seems kind of bullcrappy if you ask me. So does someone have to stand by that the whole time? But there's no need to, because after that first successful execution of this alert system, a rock slide happened. And you guessed it.
The foghorn was crushed. Not far away, Thomas was happily puffing right on time. I can't see a thing, said Thomas.
Not cool, dude. See, this is why you don't let upper management get involved in day-to-day operations. The director directs, not think for the employee. If Top Hat was truly thinking ahead of the curve, he would have kept Cyril as a backup instead of completely replacing him. But no, instead, Thomas crashed into the fallen rubble, and Toby wasn't far behind him. Thankfully, the real backup didn't retire yet.
Leave it to me, called a voice from the fog. It's Cyril, said Thomas. I hope he's in time. Toby and his coach Henrietta were chuffing along. Toby was looking forward to a well-earned drink at the next station when... Fog detonators, puffed Toby. There must be fog ahead, said his driver. We better slow down.
Yes, that would be a good idea. Since the foghorn is doing such a great job, maybe Cyril and Old Bailey should drop by, since he had the same issue with fog coming down at all the wrong times. It's funny, though. For some reason, I thought this story would have been about the lighthouse, since they deal with fog. This was kind of misleading. Anyway, Toby stopped just in time, and from there it was time to get help for Thomas.
If it hadn't been for Cyril, said Thomas, Toby might have had a worse accident than me. Instead of replacing Cyril with the foghorn, said Sir Topham Hatt, we'll replace the foghorn with Cyril. You're clearly more reliable. Thank you, sir, said Cyril. And thank you, said Toby. New inventions are all very well, said Thomas. But they don't make my axles tingle, said Percy.
Good one, Percy. And hey, look, some familiar incidental music. And Terrence! That orange tractor stands out like a sore thumb compared to everybody else. But he and the musical cue have actually been rather absent lately. Anyway, Thomas is right though. This episode is a fun one because it brings up the discussion of how you don't mess with a system that's already working well. In other words, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Simple as that. Of which Cyril was the man to be credited for his skills. If it wasn't for him, there would have been a large pileup in the Misty Valley. Shows you what Top Hat knew. Although I feel like he didn't replace Cyril out of disdain. Probably more to give him some time off. Albeit a permanent time off. Still though, it just demonstrates that nobody knows it better than the person doing the task. I'd just like to know who the heck designed that alerting contraption. It had one job. One job! And it failed on the first day. That's just abysmal. No engines had any real development this time round, but that's okay. They don't always need to have it in every story. Music, surprisingly, is unimpressive for this entry. Thomas's theme does come up from time to time, but it doesn't stand out as much. I guess every composer has their off day. I can let it slide. The cinematography to this episode was a little better. It was a tad drab looking with all the gray, but I also get that not every day will be sunny skies and puffy clouds. Perhaps the backgrounds would have looked better if it wasn't completely surrounded by rocks. But that's the Misty Valley for us. If anything, the highlights were seeing Cyril's cottage, which sort of harkens back to Mrs. Kindly a little, and the beginning shots of Brendam Docks and the lighthouse in the fog. That looked pretty. Next episode is Jack Jumps In. Thanks for watching.